Welcome to Salmon Swimming TV with James and Laura, and this is a follow-up to our last video which was on the 5 voices, and this time we are going to be doing a deep dive or showing more insights into first gear, which is rest and recharge. Absolutely crucial gear for us to live well during lockdown or any other time for that matter. So it's what allows us to rest and recharge. So that could be, and it is going to be different for different people. So why do we need first gear time, Laura?
Well, it's not an optional thing. We do absolutely need it, and it's something we need to prioritise if we want to be the most productive we can. So that's the first reason, is it aids productivity. It makes us more efficient. So if we're trying to just boom out task after task after task, eventually we're just going to slow down and become much less efficient and productive. So I'd say if you want to be productive, make sure you take regular time out to just recharge and re-energise.
That's good. That's a good sort of sale for those people who are thinking, I can't afford to do first gear time. Your tip would be actually looking after yourself is going to enable you to be more productive.
Absolutely.
And so for others of you who are perhaps more relational, it's important to know that if you're in the habit of serving other people, that's the way that you're wired. Your tendency would be to look after other people. Actually looking after yourself is going to make you even better at doing that. You're going to have more time for people, more energy for people, and it might feel a little bit indulgent to have that time yourself, or you might feel slightly selfish doing that, but again, it's going to lead to better outcomes for you if you do take that first gear time.
That's right. So everybody around you will actually be blessed because you will have re-energised and you will just be on better form to be able to serve them. So some people will need that motivation. Others of us are quite happy to take out some time for ourselves. So it depends on how you're wired.
Okay, so we've done what it is, we've done why it's important, and now we're going to think about how we do it. So what would be your tips on first gear time?
Well, I was fortunate to grow up in a household where both my parents set a very good example of gear one time. So they both were very busy and productive, but at lunchtime every day in the week they would go and watch the 1 o'clock news actually, and doze off. And most days I think they probably had 15-20 minute reboot, and then they'd be up and active for the rest of the day, and they'd often do the same thing again in the evening as well, and then be off into meetings and other activities in the evening. So I saw this pattern of activity, rest and reboot, activity, rest and recharge, and as you know, I've brought that into our family really. So probably 2 or 3 times a week I will try and keep the hours of 1 until 2:30 free, so that I can watch the news and doze off if that happens, and it's lovely. So if you ever try and ring me at that time, then often you will not get through. How about you? How do you recharge?
So I'm an extrovert and I really enjoy speaking to others. So for me, being able to process some things externally is a really helpful thing. And that's been hard on lockdown because obviously I'm around less people, particularly in that lunchtime slot where Laura doesn't really want to be disturbed because she likes to sort of recharge on her own. I sometimes have to ring somebody else up or have like a almost working lunch where I'm not really a working lunch, but a rest and recharge lunch where I can talk to somebody else and choose my friends carefully in that, so that I'm picking someone that's a good listener, going to ask me some good questions, and so that's good. And the other one is exercise for me. Being outside, really important. Coming up with ways to, get some outside time. And I've been taking the boys up to the park quite a bit, and that's not completely first gear time. So I've had to come up with some other ways where I can find exercise without them.
I've been hearing that quite a lot actually. I was talking to someone the other day who's a real extrovert, and she would usually choose to do activities with others. But she's in a household at the moment, there's 5 of them, and she just said, I'm really struggling to go for my daily walk with the family because I'm around them all the time. So she actually set as one of her goals to actually start doing that walk on her own, which might feel a bit hard for her to say. It might not be received that well at home, but I would just encourage you, if that's you, to actually do that, because when you come back, you'll just be so much more ready to socialise and to give and to offer what you have to the family if you've actually taken that time out to do what needs to be done for yourself.
That's really good. And so you may be in a place where you need to review a little bit of first gear time as well. I think some people don't know immediately what it is that really recharges them, or they haven't really deliberately done that for a period of time. So you may need to take some stock and say, what is it that really energizes and recharges me? And some of you will find it harder to ask for that time, but I just want to, I think we'd encourage you that you might feel, I can't, it feels like I'm putting a burden on somebody else, but I think often if you can communicate it in a way that sort of says that this is why it's going to be, or why I need that time, I think you'll often be surprised that people would want to release you to have that time.
And that's a key word, isn't it? Release you. So that key phrase. So being able to say, look, do you think you could just release me from any duties at home at 9:30 so I can just go off and have a morning walk, or have a cup of coffee on the front lawn, or whatever it is that you know would be helpful for you to set you instead for the rest of the day. And don't forget to schedule this time. It is so important. Make sure that it becomes a priority for you in your diary, in the same way that you'd reschedule anything else that was cancelled. Make sure that you're rescheduling it as well.
Yeah, and for those of you that find it hard to sort of keep it as a to put some boundaries in for your first gear time. If you've got it as a meeting, if you've got it as so into your diary, if somebody says, "Oh, can you make a call at this time?" you can actually say, "No, I'm actually busy." Then they don't need to know what you're busy doing, but you can protect it in that way.
That's a great tip for people who are task orientated. Make recharging a task. Make a little tick box in your diary. Give it a tick.
That's really good.
And then you actually give yourself brownie points for having achieved a goal, as well as recharging yourself. It's a win-win.
And I think the other one to watch out for with first gear in family moments like lockdown, where we're with all of our family, is to think about how everyone recharges. So that would include kids, teenagers, young children as well. So what can you do to promote them having some first gear time as well? And probably it's not going to be using gadgets and using the internet and being on social media. Although I think probably somebody playing a game with somebody else, that could be quite recharging for a teenager. A teenage boy, I think, probably would enjoy playing a game, and they're more likely to have a conversation as they're playing a game rather than let's phone up and have a chat. But yeah, putting first gear time in for you as a family, and we've been trying to do that with our boys who are fairly young, and giving them first gear time. And that looks different for both of them. What would you say about first gear time for them?
Yeah, so we have one boy who is an extrovert, so probably could happily be with us the whole time, and the other boy who does need a bit of time on his own, and can get a bit overwhelmed if he's constantly with people, probably a bit more like me. So what we try to do is we try to give them some room time, so they're up in their bedrooms on their own, there's no electric gadgets at all, and they just have to find something to do. And quite often we find that they set a timer because they have Fitbits that they can use. They come bouncing down re-energised after that short amount of time. And don't forget that at whatever age your kids are, when they're resting, then you need to rest. It's just like when they were babies, isn't it? Go and have your nap when they're napping. So make sure that when they're doing something that's recharging, that you are as well. Use that time. Don't use that time to do jobs. Use that time to recharge yourself as well. So it might be that at this time, there just need to be some rhythms in the home, so that some similar things are happening at similar times to make sure that everybody is getting what they need.
Great. So thank you very much for listening to us today. And if you've got feedback, we'd love to hear it. Thanks for those of you that have been giving us helpful ideas on where to go next with these spots.
Cheers. We'll see you again soon.
Yeah, take care.